The skin is the largest organ of the body, and it has many functions such as being a barrier to germs, keeping the organism from losing too much water, helping to control the body temperature, protecting the rest of the body from UV rays, or keeping the vitamin D between others. This is why it is essential to keep this organ healthy. The structure is composed by the three main division layers called epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. The hypodermis is made of adipose tissue and it is involved in the regulation of the body temperature. Then it is the dermis, the thickest one, where collagen and elastin are produced by fibroblast over the papillary layer and the reticular layer. Finally, the thin outer layer is divided between a layer of basal cells and a layer of squamous cells that both work together to rebuild the surface of the skin. The basal cells in the deepest part of the epidermis continually divide to produce new cells that undergo keratinization, that is, the process in which the older cells are pushed towards the surface of the skin, eventually becoming flattened squamous cells. In this new layer, the keratinocytes produce the protein known as keratin, which protects the skin from any injury. Furthermore, melanocytes are also present, which produce melanin, a substance that gives color to the skin. When it is exposed to UV rays, these produce much more melanin in order to protect the body by decreasing the damage of the sun's radiation. It is commonly believed that the sun only provides visible light for us to be able to see our environment, as well as heat. However, radiation emissions from stars such as the sun are much more complex than these two interactions that we can clearly detect through our sensory organs. Actually, both visible light and heat are two different spectrums of electromagnetic radiation, being differentiated by their wavelength between 390 to 1700 nanometers and 700 to 1 million nanometers, respectively. Moreover, the sun does not only produce these two types of electromagnetic radiation, but also ultraviolet radiation with different energies, ranging from 10 nanometers to 390 nanometers, having a greater energy in the lower end of this range and being invisible to the eye because of this energy content. Luckily, the ozone layer provides an effective protection against UV rays with considerably short wavelengths, therefore protecting human beings from more than 97% of the sun's UV radiation as it interacts with it due to its higher energy content. Anyhow, some UV radiation still arrives to the surface of the Earth and can present a considerable threat to our bodies, as the high energy radiation can produce not only damage, but also modifications at a cellular level. This is especially concerning in relation to genetic damage. That's to say, when this radiation interacts with the DNA inside our cell's nucleus, which can have two possible effects, either mutation of genes or destruction of genes, ranging from affecting only some nucleotides to several pairs of bases. Consequently, the cell has several mechanisms to respond to this kind of damage, as it firstly tries to repair the damage made to the DNA. However, if it is unable to do so, it automatically stops reproducing or carries out apoptosis, preventing this genetic damage from being propagated by reproduction. Nevertheless, the real threat lies in the cell DNA being damaged to such an extent that it no longer has the capability of reducing the end of its own cellular processes and starts reproducing uncontrollably, generating a tumor. This happens if either of oncogenes or tumor suppressor genes, which are the ones to regulate the process of growing of every cell, are mutated. In the specific case of UV radiation from the sun, the main organ affected is the skin. Therefore, excessive exposure increases the probability of suffering from skin cancer. Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer, globally accounting for at least 40% of cases. This rapid and uncontrolled growth of abnormal skin cells results in tumors, which are either benign, non-cancerous, or malignant cancerous. The most common type of non-melanoma skin cancer, NMSC, which are rarely result in death and are present in at least 2 or 3 million people per year. About 80% are basal cell cancers and 20% squamous cell cancer. Well, both of them develop very slowly, so the older you are, the most likely you are to get a non-melanoma skin cancer, as you have been building up some damage to your skin. Basal cell skin cancer, BCC, are commonest on the face, scalp, ears, hands, shoulders, and back. A gene commonly affected in basal cell cancer includes the PATCH gene, which is part of the hedgehog signaling pathway. This pathway is vital in the development of the embryo and baby within the womb. PATCH is a tumor suppressor gene that turns into an oncogene. People who have basal cell Nevo's syndrome, a condition inherited from either parent, may have an altered PATCH gene in all the cells of their body, resulting in many basal cell cancer. Squamous cell skin cancer, SCC, are commonest on the face, neck, lips, ears, hands, shoulders, arms, and legs, and are more likely to spread. Common genes that underlie squamous cell cancers include TP53. This is a tumor suppressor gene that causes cells with damaged DNA to die. When TP53 is altered, these abnormal cells may live longer and become cancer cells. The last one of the three main types is melanoma, which is the most aggressive one as it has a higher ability to carry out metastasis. It is usually a mole that has changed in size, shape, and color, has irregular edges, has more than one color, and is itchy or bleeds. This type of disease can be severe in many cases. However, in the present there is one main mechanism of treating skin cancer, and this is radiotherapy. The basis of this treatment is the implementation of types of electromagnetic radiation with even more energy than UV rays, mainly X-rays, gamma rays, and charged particles, such as alpha particles and beta particles. Furthermore, in this particular case, this process is carried out but externally using a linear accelerator, which is a machine capable of generating a ray of this kind of radiation and focusing it on the area affected by the disease. The aim of this treatment is to generate the destruction of cancer cells, as the radiation with greater energy than UV rays is known as ionizing radiation, as its energy makes atoms unstable, generating both ions and radicals. This energy both can cause direct damage to the DNA, generating cellular death, as well as attacking cancer cells through radicals, which are highly reactive atoms that can react with the cancer cells in order to eliminate them. In conclusion, after seeing this informative video, there are three main points that should be taken into account regarding this topic. Firstly, understanding that excessive exposure to UV rays from the sun or any other source can represent a lethal threat, but a controlled exposure is practically harmless and even healthy. Secondly, realizing the importance of the ozone layer in protection from radiation and therefore the threat represented by its loss because of unregulated human economic activity. Finally, eliminating the common fear of radiotherapy, as even if it implies a certain risk, it is a significantly controlled and effective cancer treatment vital for modern medical activity.